In section 110, we're going to be dealing with modeling functions, so we're going to just have application problems. And the print on this is poor, so we'll do the best we can to make the best use of it. I will try to give you these values. $200 per week plus 15 cents per mile to rent a car. So basically, we're given some information. We want to express the weekly cost to rent a car. This is an F, as a function of the number of miles driven during the week X. So basically you want an f of x function. You're going to describe to me with the given information, express this in function notation. So basically, what part is constant and stays the same always out of these two values? 200 per week, bam, it's set, 200 per week. And which one changes? This, yes, 15 cents, because it's very per mile. So that makes sense that we would have the equation 0.15x plus $200. So we can figure out how much the weekly cost to rent this car if we know how many miles and we put it into this function. Okay, now let's look at part B. How many miles did you drive during the week? If the weekly cost to rent a car is $3.20, let me write this so you can see it. This time, what does the $3.20 tell us in this equation? It's the actual total cost, which in this case would be the $3.20, right? So they're saying, well, you know how much it costs total. You tell me how many miles. So what are we solving for? Good, we're solving for x. So basically solve this equation for x. Subtract 200 from both sides, and this is what you have, and then we divide both sides by 15 cents. 120 divided by 15 cents. I get that x was 800 miles. Okay, so the very first one's just a basic application of modeling with functions. And then I'm going to go to the next page, which it looks a lot longer, but we're going to have some comparisons to look at. Alright, you're choosing between two plans. You have plan A, offers a membership fee of $300. You pay 70% of the manufacturer's recommended list price. We're going to compare that to plan B, which offers the membership fee of $40, and you pay 90% of the price. So we have these two to compare. Part A says express the total yearly amount paid under plan A as a function of the dollars purchased during the year X. So we want to write plan A as a function just like we did in the previous one. So the membership is 0.70x. Remember, you write a percent as a decimal by moving it 2 places to the left. So this represents plan A. We come back over here, express the total yearly amount paid for plan B, write it as a function. So now we're going to do the same thing, but for plan B. So we come over here, we look back, and we say, here's plan B. The membership fee, one-time fee, is $40. But then you pay 90% of the recommended list price. So our function for B is going to be what? How do we write 90% as a decimal? 0.90x plus that set fee. Let's go see what they want us to do in C. C says, how many dollars, so we're recalling what we're looking for, how many dollars would you have to purchase in a year to pay the same amount under both plans? The next thing they want to know, what will the total yearly amount paid for each plan? So the first thing we want to do is how many dollars for the pay to be the same amount under both plans. because we want to know when they equal the same amount for both plans, well, this equals the amount for plan A. This equals the amount for plan B, so it makes sense that we would set them equal to one another and solve. Okay, when we set these equal to each other, there's a lot of different ways to solve this equation, so don't feel like you have to do it this exact same way. You just ultimately want to solve for x. So if you come through here, we find out that when x is 1300, the answers to these two were going to be the same. Okay, so the next thing they ask is the second part. What will be the total yearly amount paid to the warehouse for each plan? Okay, so let's go back, wrong way. Let's just go back to this plan, plug in 1300 for X, let's see what that value equals. Same thing for this one, and just see what happens with each plan so we could see the numbers. Okay, so now if I know my X is 1300, I come back in, plug it in for X into this one, solve this out. This is my value. I did the same thing in part B, plug this in for X, solve this, and you can see that that's going to be our total yearly amount paid for each particular plan when X is 1300. Alright, we have a rain gutter, and this picture might not be so great, but I'll help you make sense of it. It's made from aluminum that are 20 inches wide. Okay, as shown in the figure, the edges are turned up to form right angles. So what we're looking at is what they're trying to show. If I take this edge and bend it up, I'm looking at, and this edge and bend it up, I'm looking at this red portion. Okay, it says express the cross-sectional area of the gutter A as a function of its depth of x. So instead of f of x, what did it tell us to use? A of x. Okay, so A of x. It's like I said, we're used to using f of x, but this time it says express the cross-sectional area. We're just going to say A because we know we're talking about area. A is a function of x. Okay, let's go back and recall. If I'm talking about area, how do you find area of a region? Length times width or base times height, whatever. So let's just make a note. Length times width, base times height, however you want to see it. So I know I'm going to be needing to do this, but what is the length of, what's the height? The height is easy. If this was x and I bent it up, what is it from here to here? X. Very good. And that makes this side x as well. Not that we necessarily need to know that. We only need to know length times width. But what's in question, and the one that you sometimes make a mistake on, is what about from here to here? 20 minus 2x, because you took an x from each side. So that's good job. So we get 20 minus 2x represents the blue portion. So now when we do area of that, it's just going to be x times 20 minus 2x. Of course, and then we could simplify that out by multiplying, and that would just give us A of x is equal to 20x minus 2x squared.